I was saying, y'all, it's your boy Rico from StreetScores. Sorry it is so late. I've been trying to do my mock draft sometime between Monday to Wednesday, but this week ended up being a busy week. Hey, just to let you know, I'm recording this right now during the SEC Championship game, and I'm the biggest Georgia Bulldog fan you know. But either way, the Washington Commanders get an elite defense with this 7-round mock draft, where I even trade back to get more picks to make sure we go into 2026 with an elite defense. This is mock draft 4.0. I'm trying to do them weekly. We'll see. But I'm going to explain how we got those extra picks. Of course, I got to explain which pick we currently have now. And then, of course, not only am I going to break down each player that we draft, I'm going to give you comps as well. I'm going to show you some all 22 clips for some of the guys as well. Weaknesses, strengths, projections, how they fit on into the team, why we need them. All of that type of stuff, man. But before we get into everything, make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinion video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all of the content. Really appreciate y'all for supporting this video, supporting all the videos, supporting the channel, the whole movement, man. Appreciate all of my people in the StreetScores family. Shouts out to my Watch to the End gang to watch these videos all the way through, man. Really appreciate y'all. Shouts out to Noti gang that are on these videos immediately after I release them. I'm still in the background working on things. Y'all are already watching the videos. Y'all are goated. And shouts out to my late night crew that's going to be watching this late tonight. I'll be up with y'all as well. I may even do another video late tonight as well, so stay tuned for that. And without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into this video right now, man. Let's get it. Adam. Alright, so first of all, again, like I mentioned before the intro, I trade back in this mock draft. We officially, right now as of today, have the 6th pick in the NFL draft. That's a 6th pick in the first round, 6th pick in the 3rd round, so on and so forth, all of that type of stuff. But I wanted to trade back to 14th to still get an elite player that is coming off of a 2024 injury that should go away. If everything were perfect world, fully healthy, never got hurt, this guy is a top 5 pick easily. But I wanted to trade down from 6 to 14 because you can still probably get this guy there. Just to let you know, using the draft value chart, that's 400 draft pick value points. So with that, when you trade back from 6 to 14, you can get Carolina's 2nd round pick early in the 2nd round. And so now we're trading back from 6 to 14th, and then we also get somewhere like a middle early-ish 2nd round pick because of it. And assuming we get Kyle Pitts in free agency at tight end, and hopefully I would love a healthy Ayuk at receiver in the offseason as well, maybe Breece Hall at running back. Just with those assumptions in place, now we move on to round 1. Pick 14 overall, I have taken Tennessee cornerback Jarmod McCoy, and my comp for him is straight up Derek Stingley. And being completely honest, ignoring positional value, the best 2 players in this draft to me, from what I've seen so far, of course I haven't watched every top player. I may not even necessarily have watched enough tape on every just top player, but I haven't watched every player in the draft in general. But even top player wise, some of the 1st, 2nd round projected guys, maybe I haven't watched enough yet, but so far from what I've seen, Caleb Downs and Jarmod McCoy are the most unique talents to this class, where you're just not going to be able to find another one of those guys in another class. Even as much as I love Ruben Bain, you could argue there may be another Ruben Bain in the next draft class. There may be one in the previous one. Even as much as you like the quarterbacks, even as much as you like the tackles, there are guys that you can find in other drafts that are at least somewhat in that same stratosphere of player. We haven't had a safety like Caleb Downs, to me, in a lot of years. Then you have Jarmod McCoy that, I mean, we haven't had a corner like this in at least a couple of years, bro. And he was literally the best cornerback in all of college football last year as a sophomore. He's only not going as high as Derek Stingley went in the draft that he went out of, because he may be a tad bit slower, but without the ACL injury scare, he's a top 5 pick easily. And before you give up on a player because they were hurt last season of the final season of the college football careers, remember that Jamar Chase, Penei Sewell, and Micah Parsons were in the same boat, and both Jackson Smith and Jigba and Nick Bosa missed most of their final games in their final season. And let's go ahead and dive into the strengths. Shouts out to Durst NFL Draft Strengths. An elite boundary corner with a prototype bend of size, length, and athleticism. Stays square and disciplined, excellent ball skills, physical at the line of scrimmage and the catch point, burrs to recover and close distance when initially beaten, can get airborne to challenge 50-50 balls, plays the ball well from the trail position, a good tackler, should be 100% healthy by now, weaponizes his arm length, can get behind a receiver and still get his arm out in front of him to meet the ball. Again, that's from Durst's NFL Draft, or you even have this play right here uploaded by Ian Cummings. He said in the tweet, early on in viewings of the 2026 draft class, Jarmod McCoy, bottom of the screen, has some of the most insane flexibility and fluidity I've ever seen. Instant acceleration off the 180-degree turn when the wide receiver goes with the speed release, and the acute angle reduction at max speed is absurd. I mean, you're seeing the clip for yourself, and even moving on from that. And when you look at Pro Football Focus's top corners draft list that just came out December 1st, they also have him as the best corner in the draft. They said McCoy has the body type and athleticism to play press man at the NFL level. His ball production as a sophomore was very impressive in terms of interceptions and forced incompletions. He is comfortable hand-fighting receivers at any point of their route and pairs that with good long speed and excellent first-step explosiveness. At the same time, he is coming off of a torn ACL and must get back to pre-injury form. He could also use more patience and inside releases, but it's all there for him to be a true cornerback one in the pros. Imagine you have this guy with Trey Amos. That could potentially lead to us having the best cornerback duo in the entire NFL. And I firmly believe that, because Trey Amos was easily our best corner on our team last year, even when Marshall Lattimore had some pretty good games finally mixed in amongst all of the other bad games that he had as well. Trey Amos was our best cover corner at the very least. Now imagine you get a guy that's even better than him, bro. Because Trey Amos was like top 3 in defensive rookie of the year rankings, before he ended up getting hurt. But I mean, imagine that guy with a guy that's even better. Like, as much as I love Trey Amos, he wears the grill and everything. Like, he's honestly probably my favorite player on the team between him and Jaden Daniels, because both of them wear grills. But Jarmod McCoy, I have to admit, is more naturally talented, higher ceiling, all of that type of stuff. And I know this is super random, but before this current college football season started, Jarmod was the 8th highest rated player in EA College Football 26 as a 94 overall. That's 8th out of all players in all of college football. Those are the expectations he had coming into the season. And I mean, even if you don't trust what I have to say about the weaknesses and strengths, what other people have had to say and stuff like that, and maybe you think I'm hyping him up, but this guy's stat lines are even insane. If you don't want to believe my opinions, how about cold, hard statistical facts? Versus Oklahoma in 2024, 0 catches allowed, 1 pass breakup, and 1 interception on 48 coverage snaps, y'all, with a 0.0 passer rating allowed. The quarterback would have been better off just throwing the ball out of bounds every play that he decided to try to throw it to Jarmod McCoy. Also against elite Alabama's receiving core in 2024, when Ryan Williams was going crazy, only 3 catches allowed on 9 targets, and specifically against Ryan Williams again, when Ryan Williams was having an insane season, Ryan Williams matched up against him specifically, 5 targets, my fault. 2 catches allowed, only 28 yards, 5 yards after the catch, 0 touchdowns, and an interception, bro. Arguably the best corner to go against Ryan Williams so far in his young college career, bro. Jarmod McCoy is, I'm telling you, go watch the tape from 2024. If you trust the medicals, that is easily the best corner in this draft class. That's a lot of good corners. That kid from LSU is great. Tennessee has a couple of corners. Texas has some corners. I'm a Georgia dog. I'm going to ride with my boy Dalen Everett. But Jarmod McCoy, can't lie, elite corner. And it's crazy too, because he wasn't even like this highly touted recruit coming out of high school, but he just got to Tennessee and turned into you're outside of injury, bro. It's like a Derek Stingley, Sauce Gardner level talent, bro. I'm dead serious. Now moving on, round 2, pick 46th overall. I was taking USC safety Kamari Ramsey, and my ceiling comp for him is Derwin James, but I feel like his safe comp is USC's own, because both of these guys are USC guys, Talanoa Hufanga. And then shouts out to Ian Cummins. He said, Kamari Ramsey is at the top of the list of the 2026 NFL draft prospects who are much better than their raw production indicates. Don't just look at the stats. Please watch the tape, especially for a guy like this, bro. Please. He could improve his support angles and tackling form at times, but for a nickel or a safety, he has some of the best coverage, mobility, and off-man zone feel I've ever seen. Again, that's coming from Ian Cummins. And I love the fact that he doesn't miss tackles. Let's start there. And we need just that trait alone. If you could just come in here as a safety and not miss tackles, you're already an upgrade over what we have before we even get to the coverage stuff. Like, before we even dive into other positive traits, how about the fact that he would come in and immediately be one of our best tackling guys in the entire safety, honestly, probably our best tackling defensive back. And on top of that, he's great in coverage. But I honestly feel like the only reason he's projected to go in the second round is because the safety position is just devalued in general. And the existence of Caleb Downs looking like arguably a generational prospect. I mean, I can see how, like, going from watching Caleb Downs to watching anybody else, even guys at other positions, is going to make you underrate guys. Now, let alone imagine you're going from watching Caleb Downs to another safety in the same draft class. And I think most people can appreciate Kamari because they keep comparing them to other safeties in the class to, like, Caleb Downs, him and everybody else. But Kamari is great in his own right. Like, and I'm not just saying good, I'm saying great. He's not generational, but I think he could come in as a rookie and immediately be our best safety. I mean, that's more of like you could say that's downplaying our safety group that we currently have on the Commanders, and that's also overhyping him. But I honestly think he will come in day one as a rookie and be our best safety. I think he's better than Quan ultimately from what we've seen this year. I thought, you know, going into the NFC Championship game with the Detroit Lions and the way he played there, I thought Quan was about to explode into a Pro Bowler. Maybe he bounces back with Dan Quinn as his defensive coordinator, well, the guy calling the plays. Maybe it was more of a Joe Witt Jr. problem, but from what I've seen most of 2025, this Kamari would come in and be your best safety. Will Harris is decent as well. I'm happy that he's back from injury. And Jeremy Reed's more of a special teams guy, and you already saw Darnell Savage requested his release after Will Harris came back. And I know safety may not necessarily even be our biggest need, but I think he would make a very strong case, pick 46th overall, of being just straight up the best player available at that point. He's really that good. I'm telling you, this is a great player. Some people are just going to overlook him because they're going to go from watching Caleb Downs to watching this guy. And that's going to make any sense. I think Caleb Downs is better than Kyle Hamilton coming out of college. I like him more than Minka Fitzpatrick coming out of college. That's just how high I am on Caleb Downs. But at the same time, I can separate Kamari from the shadow of a Caleb Downs. Bro, this guy is good. Shouts out to Josh Taylor of A to Z Sports. In his Commanders mock draft, he said, the Commanders continue to add playmakers on defense, so Kamari Ramsey will be a huge piece in the secondary that the new defensive coordinator can use in many ways. Because, of course, we're assuming that Dan Quinn, he said he may want to call plays, may be okay with calling defensive plays in 2026, but we already know he's not going to do that. And if Joe Wood Jr. is demoted, somebody has to come in and call plays. That means you need a new defensive coordinator. And, of course, Kamari has played slot corner, free safety, and in the box this season, I mean, all over the place in the secondary at 6 foot, 200 pounds. Ramsey is the perfect blend of a thumping run stopper who can also fly around in coverage and make a play on the ball. Ramsey has only allowed 175 yards in coverage this season with an elite 3.3% missed tackle rate, only recording one missed tackle all season. The Commanders need everything he brings as a sure tackler, fast and physical defender in coverage, and the ability to play in multiple spots like slot corner or safety. Quan Martin's future is up in the air right now. Nobody knows if Mike Sanford still will play inside next year or go back outside, and that's a good point too. I mean, in this mock draft, I'm assuming that, you know, if you take Jamal McCoy, Trey Amos, both of those are your outside corners, then Mike Sanford still by default has to go back in the slot. But you never know. Maybe we don't take an outside corner early enough in the draft to where we can project them to start. Maybe your two outside corners going into 2026 are Trey Amos and Mike Sanford still. I don't love Mike Sanford still outside, but he's played better outside since Dan Quinn has taken over play calling duties and Trey Amos and Lattimore have been hurt than he ever played inside this entire year. He looked more like his 2024 self ever since he moved back outside, which is what he did last year, playing outside. Now, if that's the case, and you can get a safety like Kamari, bro, to come in, and he can occasionally play slot for you if you need him to, but he can also be one of your best starting safeties. I think he would be your best starting safety. I'm telling you, bro, this secondary would be a complete no-fly zone. It would be a complete 180 from what we had last year. Trey Amos, Jamal McCoy, with Mike Sanford still, and even you add Kamari in there, bro, I'm telling you, then you got Quan Martin and Will Harris. No fly zone, bro. Jarmod McCoy alone can just erase the other team's best receiver, cover the half the field himself. Then you have Trey Amos on the other side. The safeties don't even necessarily have to be that good. But then you have a Kamari in there to anchor everything. Sure tackler, great in coverage, can handle a lot of different responsibilities. I love that kid. Now, before we move on to round 3, shouts out to Sleeper, man. And with them, you have a chance to 1,000 times your cash on daily fantasy football. And man, we haven't had this much offensive talent available for us since week 2, bro. This is honestly, because we didn't even have Samuel Cosmi back then. This is the healthiest our offense has been, excluding Austin Eckler and Luke McCaffrey being hurt. This is the most talented offense we've stepped onto a field with, arguably all season, bro. You have Jaden, Terry, Debo, you see Traylon Burks, the way he's catching the ball. Zach Ertz is coming off a 10-catch over 100-yard game. Bill's probably going to explode back onto the scene. You can pick on stats for these stars like touchdowns, passing yards, receiving yards, fantasy points, and more for up to 1,000 times payout on Sleeper. And right now, as you can see on the screen, new users can even get a free $20 without a deposit on top of the already 100% match up to $100 on your first deposit using promo code SCORE. That's SCORE. Or you can just click the link at the top of the description of this video. And every video on live stream I'm doing all season long. And while we're here, you know what I'm saying, we got to take a look at some picks. This is something that I put together just a few minutes before I started recording. I feel really good about this one because my Georgia dog, Matthew Stafford, one of the guys at the top of the MVP race between him and Drake May right now, but I would argue Matthew Stafford is having the better season, having to carry his team a little bit more. I feel like Drake May is more of a passenger, great quarterback, but Matthew Stafford, I mean, he went so many games in a row without throwing an interception, like 6 or 7 or something like that. And then now, you know what I'm saying, he threw one, I think he threw a couple last week. I think he's going to come right back to not throwing any against Arizona. Jalen Hurts, I mean, the riskiest play on this is that Jalen Hurts has to throw for 1 passing yard. I'm struggling, but I think he'll get it. We gotta hope that Jalen Hurts can throw for 1 yard. Also, I don't think Jalen Hurts is gonna throw an interception. Justin Herbert is hurt. Why do the Eagles even have to throw the ball against that team? They should be able to win that easily. Joe Burrow doesn't really throw interceptions. I don't think Buffalo's secondary is very capable of forcing them to. I think Joe Burrow goes without an interception. My Georgia dog, Nick Chubb. All I need is 20 rushing yards. That's it. And he's been hitting that for the last few games in a row. I think he gets it. Jaden Daniels coming back. I don't see him throwing an interception. This is the most talented offense we stepped onto the field with all season. I think he's going to ball out. Ja'Cory Cross-Kamara, I think this is finally a game where he bounces back. All we need is 19 rushing yards, bro. With his type of speed and athleticism, he can get that on 1 carry. And then Derrick Henry, I just need 1 touchdown for you. I think they're playing the Steelers as well. Yes, they are. All we need is 1 touchdown. He's been hitting that the last few games as well. He's gotten a touchdown like each of the last 3 games. And I think at least one of them, he had 2 or more touchdowns. I think we can get that, man. And again, shouts out to Sleeper. With them, you have a chance to 1,000 times your cash. Now let's get back to the mock draft. Round 3, pick 70th overall. And I've been hearing y'all. I've seen a lot of comments about this guy, and trust me, I knew about him, bro. Of course I know about this guy. I've been watching him since high school. I was hoping he went to Georgia. I really wanted him in Georgia. It was crazy how South Carolina was able to swoop in and get him, but they promised him the track stuff. Shouts out to DC's own South Carolina weapon, Nyckoles Harbor. And I'm calling him a weapon for a reason. It's hard to call him literally like a wide receiver. Pure weapon, pure athlete. And his comp, alien, bro. As you see, I have no comp for this guy. And first of all, again, wide receiver is a little aggressive, dog. Wide receiver is a little bit too much of a compliment for this guy right now. I prefer to consider on my weapon or athlete. In comp-wise, again, there is none. Have we ever seen a 6'5", 235-pound Olympic level track athlete, not just a guy that's fast, Olympic level track athlete that actually takes football at least somewhat seriously? A lot of these guys just end up doing another sport. He's not playing with y'all, man. He's not playing. He actually for real is doing this NFL thing, even with all of that elite athleticism. He's projected to run a 4.24 and shatter the relative athletic score scale, bro. He may be the first 11 out of 10 RAS on the charts that we've ever seen, bro. There's just no way to describe this ceiling, bro. We've never seen anything like this. Think of the most athletic wide receivers of all time. Nick Harbor may arguably be the most athletic, bro. I mean, you see the highlights of a player that can literally take over games. And again, I don't have a comp for this guy, but if somebody begged me to give you one, like I just had to, I would say a more explosive versions of DK Metcalf, which is insane because DK Metcalf was considered an alien in his own right, one of the most athletic receivers to ever enter the NFL draft, and he's been showing at the NFL level as well. Nick Harper's even more athletic than that, bro. But at the same time, Why would he be available in the 3rd round? Why I'm confident that he's not going at least in the 1st round, even though he's one of the most athletic human beings in human history, is because he's still very raw at actually being a wide receiver specifically. Route tree limited. And, you know, he doesn't have the concentration drops are plenty. He has the raw technique versus press man. He lacks nuance getting open, you know, things like leverage and manipulation and setting defenders up with his routes. And his production is also a little scary. I mean, 20.6 yards per reception. That's pretty crazy. But 618 receiving yards for pretty much an entire season is scary bad. Now, maybe you're hoping that Jaden can elevate his play and bring out his potential. And I do feel like there's definitely an element to that. I mean, again, I'm going to always refer back to the 2024 season where Jaden threw two touchdowns each to Olamide Zaccheaus and Jamison Crowder in 2024, bro. Like, that is absolutely insane. So Jaden can definitely do that. He has that effect on people. He is a force multiplier. But I do worry about the fact that Nyckoles Harbor only mustering up 618 yards against college talent. Because what are you going to do against NFL level talent? The best that the sport has to offer week after week. Now, even if you're thinking maybe we could just transition them into the most athletic tight end in the NFL, well, because you could argue we need both tight end and receiver pretty bad, right? But good luck teaching them how to learn how to block NFL level edge rushers on a consistent basis anytime soon. You be setting Jaden Daniels up for failure and potentially getting them lit up consistently. But again, even with those negatives, y'all know me. Rico loves the super high ceiling athletes. You can't teach that height. You can't teach that weight with that speed to come out of it. That explosion, that acceleration, that change of direction. But you can teach the guy to catch better, run routes better, block better, and all of that type of stuff. Now, it doesn't automatically work out for everybody. It may not be easy. It may not be quick. And actually, it doesn't work out more often than it does work out. But that's never going to stop me from taking my chances on insane athletes like this one, bro. And I feel like worst case scenario, he's going to be a guy that could do Debo Samuels type of stuff behind the line of scrimmage, where you just give him the ball on easy passes like screens and things like that, and just let him do the rest of the work with his pure athleticism, even if he's not the most nuanced guy. And also, worst case scenario, he can provide some deep threat ability with defensive coordinators. They're going to have to account for him and game plan for him, no matter how raw he is at running. He runs a projected 4.24 at 6'5". There's no corner or safety combination that can keep up with him, let alone jump up with him. So, I mean, it's just absolutely insane, bro. This guy is a ridiculous specimen that I would always take my chances on trying to develop. And shouts out to NFL Draft Buzz. They said the NFL is getting a unicorn in Harbor, a vertical weapon with a rare blend of size and track speed that defensive coordinators must account for on every snap. When lined up as an X receiver, his ability to stack defenders and win downfield creates instant mismatch opportunities. I mean, imagine how open Terry's going to be just off of the fact you have to worry about a 6'5" guy running a 4.24, bro. The tape shows a player whose ceiling comparison most resembles a more explosive version of DK Metcalf, imposing on the boundary with the juice to become a complete receiving threat. Now, moving on to the next round. Round 5. Pick 146th overall. I have us taking Ohio State edge rusher Kenyatta Jackson Jr. and his ceiling, a heavier, way longer version of Max Crosby. Of course, there's a reason he's going in round 5, but the ceiling is insane. The potential, the talent is crazy. It's just that the floor is low because the technique, he's all over the place. He's very raw. He's very inconsistent, but he's arguably the highest ceiling edge in the draft class. I mean, listen to this. 6'6", 265 pounds with a 78-inch wingspan, bro. If Ruben Bain had a 78-inch wingspan, he'd arguably be one of the best edge rusher talents to come out of the draft ever in NFL history, bro. Because the only problem Ruben Bain has, he has everything else, but he has short arms. This guy has all of the potential, the athleticism, the ceiling that Ruben Bain has, but way, way longer arms, bro. I'm telling y'all right now, my drafts have him going this late today, but he's not going this late in late April. I'm telling you right now, bro. Shouts out to NFL Draft Buzz. They said elite length at 78 inches creates natural leverage advantages, allowing him to control engagement points to keep blockers at arm's distance consistently, bro. He literally controls the point of attack. That's the way the trenches work. The first person to get hands on somebody usually controls and wins the battle. He gets hands on guys first because his arms are way longer. He can reach them way before they can reach him. And then from there, he's able to control the situation. He has an explosive first step, combined with 4.65 speed, which generates immediate pressure, putting offensive tackles on heels from the snap. Bro, this explosive first step and that speed at 6'6", 265 pounds, and a 78-inch wingspan, tackles are naturally just going to overstep because they're so worried about him just running past them and through them that once he develops a counter to go back inside, he's going to be unstoppable, bro. He displays remarkable bend as well and flexibility. You know, that's something you just cannot teach, and he has that, bro. Especially maintaining speed through contact as well while flattening to the quarterback. He is a scary matchup. Like, at his best, he's one of those guys, if you're only watching this highlight tape, you think he's a top 5 pick. Same thing with Nyckoles Harbor at receiver or whatever you want to consider him. If you're only watching the highlights, only watching the good stuff, you're like, how is this guy not a top 5 pick? But when you actually watch the tape and see how inconsistent they are, bro, it's like that's why this guy may be able to go later in the draft. I wouldn't be surprised if this guy climbs up far enough to end up going in the 2nd round by the time we get late April. But everywhere you look right now, again, he's projected to go in the 5th round. He even has a strong anchor. His anchor strength shows up repeatedly on tape, stonewalling double teams and refusing to give ground against power running schemes. He has a nasty streak as a run defender, attacking pulling guards with violence and creating pileups that allow linebackers to flow freely. So this is the type of guy you bring in, and then now Jordan McGee and whoever else is doing linebacker stuff for us, and we'll address that with the next pick. Now they're able to, avoid getting hands put on them by offensive linemen, and they can go do whatever damage they got to do in the backfield because of this guy. His motor runs hot through the whistle, chasing plays backside and finishing on scrambling quarterbacks when others have given up on the pursuit, bro. He's a Dan Quinn dream, bro. He has championship DNA and composure in big moments. He recorded multiple tackles in the college football title game while maintaining technique under the brightest lights possible. Like, the only time that you could argue that he actually showed consistently good technique throughout a game was when the moment was at its brightest, which is insane. And then also, to summarize, Jackson walks into the NFL as a fascinating developmental project whose best football clearly lies ahead of him after years of patient development behind elite Ohio State talent. His freakish blend of height, speed, and flexibility rarely comes packaged together, giving him the tools to become a double-digit sack artist once the techniques catch up to the athleticism. The immediate impact will come against the run. This is why I think he's definitely going to go way earlier than round 5 by the time we get to late April, is because at the very least, day 1, he comes in as a pretty good run defender while he's working on that technique to eventually become a double-digit sack guy, bro. Where, just think of a way higher ceiling Dorrance Armstrong, like literally, bro. And remember, he was 5th in sacks before we lost him for the season. Now, again, his immediate impact will come against the run, where his combination of length and strength already translates to the NFL level play, making him valuable on early downs, while his pass rush arsenal expands through professional coaching. His versatility to slide inside on 3rd downs adds value for creative defensive coordinators, though his lighter frame suggests keeping him primarily on the edge where his speed advantage maximizes. Remember, the times that Micah Parsons has killed the Commanders since, for the past couple of years on the Cowboys and even the Green Bay Packers, when they would move him inside and let him use his speed and athleticism to beat guards, this is the type of guy that you can deploy just like that, bro. It is absolutely scary. Now, moving on to the next round. Round 6, pick 183rd overall. I have us taking the Oklahoma linebacker Samuel Omosigho. I hope that's how you pronounce his name. I'm just going to call him Samuel for the rest of this video so I avoid messing up his name and butchering it even worse than I probably already did. His ceiling comp, I'm not saying this is a super accurate comp, but his ceiling comp, what he ultimately could be if everything goes right, is Devin Lloyd. We just need to get more athletic, more explosive, and faster. Period. Especially on defense, and especially in the linebacker room. And at the very least, this guy helps you do just that. Thank goodness Jordan McGee has been getting a lot of playing time in the second half of this season to learn the defense, because there's no way that we could just find a player with Wagner's IQ, awareness, intelligence, and nuance in free agency or in the draft this offseason. And I'm pretty sure Bobby Wagner will not be here next year. At least I'm assuming. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer for a reason. It's because he's a great quarterback of the defense. But opposing offenses consistently just keep targeting Bobby Wagner in coverage because he's 36. Shouts out to RDC. He's actually 35, but I had to do the RDC skit, the LeBron thing. But either way, at the very least, with Samuel and Jordan McGee as your linebacker duo, with Frankie Louvu flying around as well, playing a little bit more edge rusher, our linebacker room will be way faster in 2026 than it ever was in 2025 at the very least. Shout out to NFL Draft Buzz. Samuel embodies the modern NFL linebacker prototype that defensive coordinators desperately seek. A rangy athlete who can handle every responsibility the position demands without creating personnel limitations. His combination of size, speed, and coverage background makes him invaluable in today's pass-heavy league where linebackers must cover tight ends and running backs while still providing legitimate run support. The versatility to play multiple linebacker positions gives him immediate roster flexibility, while his special teams experience ensures early contributions. I know there's some raw aspects to his game, but I mean, right now he's projected to go. When I'm doing these mock drafts, I'm not just reaching for guys in the 6th round that should go in like the 3rd or the 1st round and stuff like that. Right now, he's projected, when you look at mock drafts, to go around this 180 range. I'm not just doing this to make the best mock drafts of all time. I'm looking for guys that as of today are projected to go in these rounds. But I say all that to say this is another guy that I think by the time the draft process is done, he's going to end up going well before this, probably by round 3. But either way, his physical tools suggest he'll excel in defensive systems that require linebackers to cover significant ground. Apparently, we're one of those with as much Bobby Wagner ends up in coverage, particularly in schemes that utilize pattern matching or ask linebackers to carry receivers vertically. We need a lot of that. Teams employing 3-4 defenses will love his ability to rush the passer from multiple alignments as well. He can do some of that, while 4-3 defenses can utilize his range at the Mike position, and that's what we need the most. That's what we prefer. We prefer to run a 4-3 defense, but we had to switch to a 3-4 after our top 3 edge rushers got hurt because we had to mix it up. We needed more defensive linemen on the actual defensive line. We had to have 5 bodies down there instead of 4 because, again, your top 3 edge rushers got hurt. Ultimately, Dan Quinn wants to run a very man-heavy 4-3 defense. We're having to run a 3-4 zone defense because your top two corners are hurt, your top 3 edge rushers are hurt. So don't get confused like what you're seeing in the season right now. Dan Quinn ultimately wants a 4-3 man cover defense. At least that's the goal, and this guy can help you do that. The draft picks I've already made can help you do that, and this guy can step up with him and Jordan McGee being your Mike linebackers of the future. Again, with Frankie Louvu being somewhat of like an off-ball linebacker, but can play some edge rusher and things like that, bro. I'm telling you, this guy has the makings of a really good potential linebacker. The fact that he's still developing his instincts at the position means substantial upside remains, which should appeal to organizations with strong linebacker coaching staffs and patience for development. I mean, if we're willing to take this guy under our wings and coach him up, he has the potential to be a really good talent. Samuel profiles as a solid day 2 selection who could develop into a 3-down linebacker within his first 2 seasons. So he may not be ready to necessarily contribute and start week 1 of his rookie season, but I think with the right development plan, especially with Ken Norton Jr. as your linebackers coach, I think he can definitely get there sooner rather than later. His transition from safety to linebacker actually enhances his NFL value as he brings the coverage awareness and ball skills that most linebackers lack, while adding the physicality and run stopping ability that the position demands. Teams prioritizing athleticism and versatility over immediate polish will find themselves drawn to this explosive, tested numbers guy and competitive makeup. The ceiling here is Pro Bowl caliber linebacker who can anchor a defense's second level while providing the flexibility to match up against any offensive skill position player in the modern game. Against the Jahmyr Gibbses, against the Bijan Robinsons in coverage, we struggle against that. Against any tight end. I mean, Tucker Kraft gave us the best career game of his life, bro. We need somebody that can erase him. This is literally the guy for that. Again, ceiling is Pro Bowl. The problem is he's going to come in relatively raw. You could argue maybe week 1 of his rookie season, he'll probably be so raw that he's unplayable. At the very least, though, he can go out there and coverage, even if he doesn't understand defense and run fits yet. But I'm telling you, the Pro Bowl ceiling is there. You may not see it until halfway through his rookie season. You may not see it until this time next year, but this guy is worth the risk, especially if he's available early in the 6th round, bro. He would be best player available, I would argue, easily. Now, moving on to the next pick, round 6 pick, 194th overall, I was taking Clemson defensive tackle Demonte Capehart, and my ceiling comp for him, again, not super accurate, super likely comp. My ceiling comp is Jeffrey Simmons of the Tennessee Titans, who I want to remind y'all wanted to be traded to the Commanders before the trade deadline. Even with how bad the season was going, everybody clearly, except for this fan base, recognizes that this season was killed by injuries more than anything else. But either way, you could potentially get your own Jeffrey Simmons if you don't trade for him in the offseason, or I don't know if he's a free agent or whatever. I'm pretty sure you would have to trade for him. Either way, if you don't, here's a guy that you can get potentially early, somewhere day 3-ish. Maybe you have to take him late day 2. Let's dive into it, because we may need a Daron Payne replacement. And even if he doesn't leave, Johnny Newton, a former high 2nd round pick, hasn't been very good nor consistent this season at all. I still have hope for him. I love Johnny Newton's talent coming out of college, but I'd at the very least bring in some serious competition for him. Either Demonte ends up being as good as I hope as a worst case scenario, or Best case scenario, Demonte even pushes Johnny to get better just from the sheer competition of them going back and forth for who wants the most playing time. And now we're 4 or 5 deep at defensive tackle, including Eddie Goldman. And shouts out to NFL Draft Buzz. Capehart's tape shows flashes of dominance that scream high-level potential, but consistency issues, limited playing time, muddy the waters. His raw power and athleticism jump off the screen immediately, but the lack of refined technique raises red flags about his immediate impact at the next level. I'm telling you right now, that's kind of the theme with a lot of the picks of this draft, bro. When they're at their best, if you're only watching their highlights, they look like first-round talents, but they're just inconsistent. All we got to do is take the talent and teach them to do that stuff more consistently. I prefer to try to do that as a coach than to teach somebody to do something they've never done. You see the flashes, get them to turn from flashes to a consistent, bright future. That's my whole thing. I know these high athletes, these raw, inconsistent, super athletic, high ceiling guys, they can be annoying. But I would always take my chances on that guy, bro. I would always take my chance. But best suited for a 4-3 under tackle or 3-4 defensive end role where he can use his explosive first step and raw power to penetrate and disrupt. I mean, you could argue, even with Deron Payne gone, Capehart and Javon Kinlaw would make for the most athletic, just freakishly, just athletic, strong, dominant defensive tackle duo in the NFL, bro. However, his current skill set likely limits him to early down work as he develops a more diverse pass rush repertoire, which is what he's working on. That's his biggest weakness right now. He can run stop today. The problem is how long is this going to take for him to finally be able to get penetration into the backfield and affect the quarterback. The team that drafts Capehart will be betting on his elite at physical tools, athleticism, and banking on coaching to unlock his full potential. With proper development, he could become a game-wrecking force in the trenches. However, his draft stock is likely to be tempered by the rawness of his game and the projection required to see him as an impact player at the next level. I would be willing to take a chance on this guy any day. And then now moving on to our final pick of the draft. Round 7 pick, 220th overall. I was taking Pittsburgh running back Desmond Reid. In my ceiling comp for him, Devon A-Chain. Again, ceiling comp, not super accurate, not super likely comp, but if everything goes right, best case scenario, this guy reaches his full potential. He puts in all of the work, and that's anybody that I give ceiling comps for. If they go in with the best work ethic ever, this coaching staff does the right thing with developing them. Ceiling comp, Devon A-Chain. And I give ceiling comps because you see flashes of that player at times. The problem is with most of these guys that I have us taking in this mock draft is that you need to see it more consistently. But there are plays where he looks like Devon A-Chain. There are plays where Demonte looks like Jeffrey Simmons. There are plays where Samuel looks like Devin Lloyd. There are plays when Kenyatta looks like a heavier, longer Max Crosby. The problem is the coaching staff has to get that out of them on a more consistent basis. But again, going back to Desmond Reid, bro, I like Rodriguez a lot, but he's at best a RB2, I feel like. And I love Bill even more. But from the way that these carries have been getting splitting up, especially this season during this losing streak, I don't feel like the Commanders like him that much. And at the very least, not as much as I do. And Jeremy McNichols, he's cool. So especially if we don't go and get a new RB1 in free agency like a Breece Hall or a Kenneth Walker, go get me a guy that has at least some RB1 potential. Don't just bring in an ensemble of RB2s and 3s. We already have a few of those. Why not go ahead and get an RB1 ceiling guy? Again, I believe that eventually, ultimately, maybe Bill can turn into an RB1, but I would just go ahead and take a risk and try to potentially take a swing on another one. Because, of course, with him going in the 7th round, there's a lot of rawness to his game. And his chances of becoming good enough to be a true RB1 are obviously very slim and unlikely, but I would gladly take a chance on this guy late in the draft, bro. Shouts out to NFL Draft Buzz. They said Reid's future hinges on how NFL teams value explosive playmaking ability versus traditional every down reliability. His electric receiving skills and game-breaking speed create a ceiling that few backs in this class can match, but his inability to handle pass protection assignments severely limits his 3-down potential. This is the type of guy, if you throw him on the field right now, like today, to protect Jaden Daniels, you're going to get Jaden Daniels killed. That's what's going to make him unplayable and for a long time. But the elite explosion, the playmaking ability, I mean, he's so explosive that when he's on the field, if we draft him As a rookie, we throw him on the field, even though defenses know he's not going to stay back to block because he's a liability there right now. He's still the type of guy that's explosive enough. They can expect him to get the ball and he can still make a play. The beauty of Reid's game lies in his versatility. He can line up anywhere and create immediate mismatches. Yet, the same 170-pound frame that allows such agility raises questions about surviving the rigors of a full season. He's very lightweight. 175 pounds is crazy, but he is a pure weapon. You may not even necessarily call him a running back. He's just another guy like Nyckoles Harbor, a weapon. What makes Reid intriguing is how his skill set aligns with how the league is trends towards specialized roles in committee backfields. His return ability provides immediate value and multiple paths to the field, while his receiving prowess offers offensive coordinators a legitimate weapon in space. This is the type of guy, again, that even with the blocking liability, even with the lack of weight that will concern you at the NFL level as far as durability, at the very least, he can go back there and do kick returns for you. It could be him and whoever else. If Debo comes back, then if not, then you have Luke McCaffrey and this guy right here in Desmond Reid. Those will be your two starting kick returners, and Jalen Lane will be your starting punt returner. And again, this is the type of guy, you just get him out in space, throw him a screen, he can make something shake. He's going to get a bunch of yards just off of his natural athleticism, speed, and explosion alone. And on top of that, however, teams will need to scheme around his limitations, particularly in short yardage situations where his lack of power becomes glaring. This is not the type of guy you want on the field on 3rd and 1 if you plan on running in between the tackles. The injury history that limited him at Western Carolina and cost him games at Pittsburgh cannot be ignored when projecting his professional durability. Again, he's already had injury concerns in college, so I can see why some people, even some teams, and a lot of y'all probably watching this video, are already taking him off the draftable list, that he's off the board completely, and I get that. But Reid's draft stock will ultimately depend on how teams weigh his explosive upside against his obvious limitations. His tape shows a player who can change games with his feet and hands, but also one who struggles with the physical demands of a traditional running back responsibility. The smart money says he lands somewhere in the middle rounds, where teams can afford to take a chance on his game-breaking ability while understanding the developmental timeline required to maximize his unique skill set. His path to NFL success runs through proving that his college production translates to a league where every defender is faster and stronger. Still, his probably going to be faster than a lot of those guys that are really fast in the NFL level. He's not going to be stronger than any of them, but he could definitely be faster than a lot of them. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about every discussing video. Please step on that like button, step on the subscription button, and make sure you hit that bell next to the subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinion video just like this one. Of course, if you like this mock draft, please let me know. If you didn't like the mock draft, let me know. Let me know why not, all of that type of stuff. Please let me know everything that you have, any opinion. Give me your mock drafts. I always love it when y'all give me y'all mock drafts. Like if you had to do a mock draft, I would love to see exactly what you would do. With even if you want to just take my picks, like how I traded back from 6 to 14 and gained the extra second round, using that template, what would you do with those picks? Let me know if you agree or disagree with any of my picks. Again, why not? Let me know which players you like the most that I took in the mock draft. Aja is yelling at me right now. I'm almost done with the video. But either way, I appreciate y'all. Let me know in the comment section how you feel about everything. Leave a like on the way out. And of course, again, shouts out to Watch to the End Gang, man. Shouts out to my late night crew. Shouts out to Noti Gang. Again, if you're watching me this far in this video, as long as it is, and you're still watching me and hearing me, I salute you and appreciate you personally. Thank y'all. I'm gonna catch y'all later, maybe later tonight with a video, but more than likely maybe tomorrow morning before I'm live streaming the game at 1 p.m. Maybe not though. Maybe you may have to catch me next with the 1 p.m. live stream in the Vikings game. Make sure you pull up for that. Catch y'all later. Appreciate y'all. I'm out.